Hello and good evening. I'm Melisa Idris. Welcome to The Future is Female. This is the show where we find the extraordinary in every woman. I'm delighted to introduce my guest today, Rachel Tan, who is a Malaysia-born, Los Angeles-based film producer. She's also the co-founder of King Street Pictures, a former Miss Malaysia and the first and only Malaysian to win the Miss Chinese International Pageant. She's since built a career producing feature films, and she's here today on the show to talk to us a little bit about her latest project, Worth the Wait, which is scheduled for theatrical release here in Malaysia this August 7th. Rachel, welcome to the show. It's good of you to join me.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Well,
I'm always very excited to come back to Astro. As you know, my career started in Astro as Miss Astro.
Miss Astro,
Yes.
what year was that?
2002.
Okay, and you've come, I mean, your journey has been so multifaceted all these years. You started from pageantry, Miss Astro, now you're producing films in Hollywood. Maybe you can talk to me a little bit about that. A little bit about that journey. What drew you into the world of feature films?
Right, so it walked through the same doors at Astro just now for the interview.
Was it nostalgic for you?
Right, and I walked through the same door for my audition back in the day for Miss Astro, right?
Oh, wow.
And it took me all the way, you know, I thought it was just like, you know, a summer thing to do before going to university. And then ended up I won Miss Malaysia, and then I won Miss Chinese International in Hong Kong. And then I actually went to Cambridge to finish law. And then I came back and still wanted to do entertainment. I was like, I told my parents, like, okay, I've done my Asian duty. Just go to college, go to university. But I still want to pursue, you know, entertainment. Just, you know, something about it, like telling a story or being part of this, like, great magical performance, you know, it's something, you know. So went back for the stage and I signed with Jackie Chan Group in Hong Kong, and I spent some time there. Meanwhile, I was, you know, I took the Hong Kong bar and the New York bar, you know, for law, just to like, I don't know, not waste time while auditioning. And then I met my husband, who's my producing partner, and he was based in Los Angeles as an entertainment lawyer. So, and then we got married. It's a long distance relationship that we'll go into later because our movie is inspired by that long distance relationship.
Yes.
So we met, and then, you know, I then moved to LA as an entertainment lawyer. And then one day, my friend, who's a director, I was in his movie in Hong Kong before this, and he's like, "Oh, Rachel, I have a co-production between Hong Kong and LA. Can you help me with my legal?" You know, and I was like, okay. So my husband and I, we started helping on legal, and then slowly we're like, hey, you know, this story, you know, there's this scene here that needs work, or like, you know, there are casts that we can help with, you know, and then the plot that we can work on, and then it just went on, and this went on, and he was like, okay, why don't you become an associate producer on this?
Right.
And that's how it happened 10 years ago.
So for many of us who are not in the industry, can you describe what the role of a producer is? So, you know, when we see the role credits, right, there's the role of a producer. What do they do?
Oh, you know, for the Academy Awards, like the best picture goes to the producer, but no one really knows what the producer does,
yeah.
right? So, but he definitely deserves I'm sorry.
The credit.
Yes. I mean, from the beginning to the end, you carry this child,
This baby,
right? Like from the inception, from the idea, right, all the way you hire. We wrote this new movie ourselves. For
You
story,
and your husband, Dad?
the storyline. We found a writer to, you know, Maggie Hart back then, like 9 years ago. Oh my God, to write this, and she wrote the script, and then you develop the script over years, you attach director, then you find the funding attach the director, sometimes, you know, chicken and egg situation, then you know, attach the cast, and then, you know, the whole pre-production and production. We had like 100 crew in the West and 100 crew here, you know, and like you hire everybody, and that's just like halfway point.
So the producer is involved at every stage. And it's sometimes a production can take years to develop.
You're right. So I've been with this for 9 years, right? So, and then you shoot it, you think like every day you're putting out fires, and then you shoot it, and then there's the post-production where there's like you color, the sound, you cut most importantly, right? And then, you know, a composer, everything.
Every stage.
That's just post production. Then you gotta sell it to you have meetings with distributors, right? You know, the big studios and the streamers, right? And before that, maybe you enter into festivals, and then you navigate it through the festivals, right? And then even after you sell it, that's what we've been doing. We're marketing it. So we had, you know, a premiere in just within these 2 months, a premiere in LA. I had a Taipei Film Festival. We got into Taipei Film Festival. We went there, and then we had a premiere in KL, as we know, with Astro and Tourism Board. We had, and then we had one in Singapore. And now we're doing press, and it's all the way we are with it.
Amazing.
The entire time. Yeah.
It must be then so rewarding to finally be able to have this out there in the world after 9 years of birthing, and just the gestational period of 9 years is a long time to carry a baby.
For sure. I mean, but then we have other projects. I think this is like the 6th movie since, like, it's not like we're waiting for Worth the Wait to come to pass.
Could I ask you, Rachel, why did you move behind the camera into the producing role? Is there something that producing gives you that maybe being in front of the camera or being on a pageant stage doesn't allow you to develop? What is it about producing behind the camera?
You know, with being an actor, I really love how I could, like, my voice could reach the world if there's a cause. Like, I can always bring attention, spotlight to it. Yeah. And I love, like, connecting with the audience, right? And then after a while, I realized that there are specific stories and causes that I wanted to champion. And as an actor or, you know, a beauty queen, that my hands are tied many times. And so instead of being the brand, I wanted to be like the you know, you create the brand and you shape the brand, right? And being a producer is kind of like a shield that shields all these like these like creatives, you know, so that they can focus on what they do best, which is art and the creative process, and then you kind of like facilitate it. And I think I love that role.
Do you consider yourself a storyteller?
Yeah, yes, I am a storyteller, right? And I feel like this role is like finally a role where, you know, I've been through so many roles, right? I feel like this is a role that finally has used all my experiences, be it, you know, as a, you know, lawyer, talent, assistant producer, or, you know, intern. I mean, being in different countries, all my blood, sweat, and tears, all my success and failures, I can finally just use it in this one role, and I use it every day.
Which was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because there's so many facets to your journey, and because you have many hyphenated identities. You're Malaysia-born, you're Hong Kong-shaped, you're legally trained, you're LA-based. How have all of these different hyphenated identities shaped the way you tell the stories, or what kind of stories you want to tell? Have you seen it shape the way you navigate the film industry?
Oh yeah, I think so. I was in England too, just like you, by the way.
I missed that.
I've actually lived in quite a few places. And with that, right, I have like a global mindset. I don't see like one place as the beyond in all, even like, you know, United States or China. I just feel like the world is so big, and there's so many stories to tell in unique, authentic ways. So one of our mandates is also to be the bridge between the East and the West, and to bring, well, I have like a little ambition, which is bring Malaysia and showcase it to the world stage. And that's why, you know, we brought Hollywood back to shoot it in all the places that my husband and I had our dates at, by the way. So, but like, you know, Batu Caves, Petaling Street, Sultan Abdul Samad, you know, the durian stall, you know, like, you know, just outside the malls and stuff. So, that's my little ambition. And apart from that, I feel like, yeah, I've seen so much talent in Asia, just working even in Hong Kong or meeting Taiwanese, just so many, right?
Okay.
And in Malaysia. And I've also seen all the talent in the West, right, in Hollywood. And boy, that's formidable. It's like...
I can imagine.
Right. After I see those actors, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't act. Because, no, they're incredible.
Okay.
There's incredible talent.
Competitive there.
Right. They have so much resources and support there, you know, and yet here I also see these talent, but I don't see like enough opportunities and resources. So yeah, one of our mandates is really to kind of bridge them. So that's why, yeah, that's why we brought Tom Lin, who's a Golden Horse Award winning director. He was just nominated for 8 Golden Horse Awards this year.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we brought him over to the West, right? That's his debut. And so is Karina Lam, who's Lin Jiaxing, like Karina Lam, who's in our movie. She plays like the lady who's pregnant. She has 3 Golden Horse Awards under her belt. Right?
Okay, very prestigious cast. Can we talk a little bit about your film? So maybe for the audience, talk to us about this story, which is based on your real life love story. Why did you want to tell this story? Why now? What was the kind of story you wanted to share with the world?
I wanted to share it 9 years ago.
It's been a decade in the making.
I think really right what you know, and we first started with though, and we started it when we were quite green, was like almost at the beginning of our career, right? And because it was sort of inspired by our story, it was not easy, because then the whole cast have to be like Asian American, and it took a long time, even after Crazy Rich Asians, to be able to have people who are willing to give us a chance, right? This story is not just like about a long distance relationship, you know, it's like a love actually, where it's like an ensemble of different relationships. It's kind of like different stages of our lives that we've been through, you know, the young teenage love, you know, where you just choose to believe, you know, and then like, you know, the big loves that you need the courage to, you know, face, whether to let go or not, you know, the happily ever after, right, the long distance relationship. But then after marriage, right, is it always happily ever after? What comes, you know, after marriage? You know, it's in our 40s, you know, for example. So it's a whole array of our lives. So I think like you need that kind of experience to be able to like weave these stories together. Was
it difficult because it's based on your story, because it's so personal? How did you balance the kind of staying true to your lived experience versus also crafting a story that works as a romantic comedy? I mean, were there moments where you felt like you had to kind of let go of the truth in service of the story?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just inspired by, you know, right? So sometimes to make them all connected, it's like, you know, you gotta get rid of, like, here, this guy's an orphan.
Okay. So you had to like amp up the drama a little bit, creative license.
And then one of there was a storyline that's based on my sister's journey in her pregnancy, and it's actually quite dramatic, and it doesn't, sometimes we took a bold move because, you know, many people just want a clean-cut rom-com, and I think like Tom Lin, who's our director, has like the visionary director to bring this together and to just boldly include that, you know,
so there's an element of
life
drama involved.
In it, right? And then after the premiere, I saw all my friends are like crying, and then it's like, oh, this is a rom-com, why am I crying? You know, it's just feel good kind of cry. Then they'll come to me and say like, okay, you know, thank you for showcasing, like, not showcasing, but highlighting like, what women go through in miscarriages, or when they because it's such a taboo topic, and I feel seen and heard. You know, many people just suffer in silence. You know, couples, they suffer in silence because of the shame or the guilt, or
it's hard to talk about.
You know, it's hard to talk about it, and I don't want them to feel like alone, like how I felt and how my sister felt. Like you're not alone, and people do go through this. And
it's a deeply personal story. When you said earlier that the idea was really bridging the East and the West, and because it is a personal story and you want it to be representative of who you are, your identity, talk to me a little bit about convincing the funders, the investors, the money people to fund your story as is, that you had these two Asian protagonists, that this is a story that was not just worth telling, but worth backing?
Two Asian protagonists not that difficult, but we have like 10 Asian protagonists,
so
so it's like a full
cast.
cast of Asian Americans,
And
I
that's
think
harder.
it's the first of its kind, if I'm not mistaken, and that's new. You know, everything that's new, you know, there are no numbers to back it, right? There are no like precedents, right? So we have to find like your best, you know, you make yourself with the best investors, you know, who would back
Were
you
they
and believe in
understanding?
it. You know, most are not. You know, that's why we had to, you know, find the right people, and we finally found them, and they are very, you know, supportive, and they care more about the cause, you know, of shaping, you know, perspective and changing the landscapes of, you know, Hollywood.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, and we're very fortunate and blessed because of that. But definitely, that's why it took so long. Yeah.
Talk to me about the partnership with Tourism Malaysia. What was the reason behind? You talked a little bit about that reason, about wanting to kind of showcase where your heritage was, and what we have here in this country. But when you bring in a kind of government partner, often there is a struggle to make sure that the story remains yours as opposed to theirs. How did you navigate that, showcasing Malaysia beautifully, but also not letting it slip into kind of travel log territory? Yes, and audiences are smart; they know when they're being sold something.
Oh, no, funny part is I didn't go to anybody and just shot it. I just shot it, and I wasn't funded by.
Wow.
So it's just purely for the love of my country and to keep it authentic, where what we did when we're dating and the beauty. So it wasn't that kind of partnership. So it was more like after they saw it and they said, "Hey, this is like an ad for our country," but it's not really. It's just it comes from a very true place, and that's why audience wouldn't feel like they're sold to, because it wasn't the intention. It was just coming from a place of truth.
Isn't that wonderful that it was so beautifully shot that the tourism people said, "Hey, this really is showcasing the country.
Yes.
Let's get on board."
I know. It is kind of it's an honor for sure that I'm acknowledged. The work is acknowledged, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just our truth. You know, it's not selling anything.
Yeah. You talked about this authenticity, which really kind of comes across when you talk about this project. You feel so passionately about it. But because you are of such a kind of global mindset, when you're in Hollywood, is Hollywood a place of global mindsets? Are they still kind of stuck in the way, doing things a certain way, or are you seeing that change, that there's a more universal or inclusive perspective happening there?
I feel like they are trying, but like, if they don't know what they don't know, they just don't know, right? If they don't see, they don't know, right? It's like culture, you don't tell them they don't know, right? It's because there's so many, we're multifaceted, right? And even like in our stories, like when they champion something, they do want to, they have the heart to, but it's about things they already know, like immigrant story, you know, it has to be like, how Asian is this Asian? Like
the model immigrants, right?
Model immigrant, model minority, showcasing your dumplings or taking off your shoes. Those, before you go into the homes, right? They are trying to be respectful, but like, then they don't know beyond that, right?
Okay.
So
does it go deeper?
Right. So in this story, we just want Asians to play like normal people. There's nothing inherently Asian about us. It's just every single day we don't go and think about our immigrant parents or like our identity as Asian. We're just people falling in love. We break up, we sad, we cry, we have ambitions. We're not robots, we're not math genius, or we're not doing kung fu, even though
you've listed so many stereotypes.
It's just stereotypes, but like the funny thing is, like someone pointed out to me that you have so many action heroes in your rom-com. Sung Kang is like Fast and Furious, she's action, and then like Andrew Koji plays Bruce, like the Bruce Lee's TV show. He's like main lead, and he's like now also in Street Fighter, he's like the main. So he's, Elodie Young is Electra. They're all like action. You know,
stars, right? Yeah, in their own right.
Lim like plays like a grieving father. He can actually break your neck. Like, you know, he's been playing like action since he was a kid. You know, so I'm just listing a few. Like they're all like I wanted to sort of expand the stereotyping in casting to show how multifaceted these actors are. You know, and just beyond what you see them and you know about our culture, that's like fight, kung fu, or fight.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I think for many Asian creatives in the diaspora, I think there's this tension between representing the culture, the identity, versus just creating. And did you feel that sense of responsibility to then represent your heritage, represent your community in your work? Or I wonder whether that is a very heavy burden to carry.
It really depends on the story. I wouldn't force it. You gotta let the story and the characters lead you instead of like kind of like, you know, preaching to the choir. You know what I'm saying? that you know, so we don't purposely go and like insert our culture in it, but
it has to be kind of organic or authentic in a way.
Example, like our long distance relationship. This is organic. Maybe we would be kind of more motivated to champion a project that inherently showcases like a beautiful place that we love or a culture that we love, but we wouldn't force it on a story. You know, that doesn't have it or doesn't need it. But sometimes Asians should just be Asians, like struggling with whatever. It doesn't matter what race.
Fully rounded people.
Right, exactly. It's universal. You know, it has nothing to do with our Asianness.
Is that the future of representation that you see in film and TV? Right.
For example, right now we're championing one that's sort of a dark comedy. It's just like a little bit of crime thriller. It could be played by anyone. It doesn't have to be inherently Asian. It doesn't say anything about a culture. But it's played by a few Asians. Of course, that's our company mandate. But they are just to be who they are or be those characters without having an Asianness in it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the next stage where it doesn't have to be about those issues like immigrant issues or Asian issues. It's just to be.
Could I ask you what your film influences were? When you watch what's happened, what's being put out there today and maybe in years past, what influences your way of storytelling or your vision of kind of bridging the East and the West?
Could you give an example
of what films influence your vision of storytelling?
What films?
Yeah.
Do you have films?
Do you have good films? Do you have any films that have informed your cine literacy, if I may use that word?
Well, it depends. Every time I see a new good one,
it
I'm like,
adds to the vocabulary.
It never stops. Like, you know, so it's like hard to name one. I was like, oh wow, this is so well done. Let's do this, and then I have the next one.
Have you done the letterbox 4 favorite films? That's a tough one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that will upset many people.
I think you better get prepared for that when the film premieres, and you'll get asked for your 4 favorite films.
Maybe, but like my favorite film is definitely Love Actually before this movie, because it's like completely inspired by that. I grew up with that. It was one of my favorites, and now we have a Asian Love Actually.
Do you think it aged well, Love Actually? Because there's a lot of people who say, well, that film didn't age well over the years.
You think so?
Yeah.
And yet we have a modern one, and now we're actually we're on a platform in the US that has 100 million users, 100 million active monthly users.
Fantastic.
Right. Yeah. And our numbers are looking very good. So.
Well, I wish you all the best. How can we look out for this film? What do we need to look out for? When does it come?
So it's coming to you nationwide in Malaysia on August 7th. So really hope that, you know, this is the first of many, and if this is received well, then, you know, we'll bring more stories to this country, and that's our hope and dream for sure.
Yeah, I hope to see many more pictures from you,
yes.
Rachel. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your time. Thank you. That's all the time we have for you on this episode of The Future is Female. I'm Melisa Idris, signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.